Hello, my name is Jackson Chapman. This is my final prototype for Advanced UI Applications Assessment 2. This version seeks to improve the prototype based on feedback, as well as usability testing conducted on the initial prototype. Like before, we start with 3 landing pages, and this is to give Figma time to load all of the assets and all the frames for this prototype. And I'll just start the preview now. Let's take a bit to load, like I said. See it loading here. Yep, there we go. So for the home screen, I've made several improvements from feedback, and one of the most obvious ones is actually the color palette change. It used to be a solid orange color for the initial prototype, but I decided to make it a gradient between purple and orange, as sort of a nod back to my mock-up that I made in Assessment 1, which actually used a similar gradient. And additionally, I've made some other changes, including making different components like orders and requests and builds and internet speed separate colors, just to make them to separate themselves from each other design-wise, just to make them contrast. And on top of that, I took the previously that these titles here actually used to be blocked by the camera lens. So what I did was for all of the frames actually move those to the right a bit, just so they can actually be seen by the user. And additionally, there's also the bottom nav bar. Back in the initial prototype, if you want to actually access the bottom of the nav bar, especially on a really tall frame, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom. But now, as you can see, it's actually fixed in place, so it doesn't actually matter what height you are on the frame, which is great. And those are basically the main improvements towards the home screen. So what we'll do now is we'll actually go to bills. As you can see, bills, admittedly not very much has changed beyond a lot of the improvements from the home screen, like the new color palette and a title. But what I have added is actually the opportunity to toggle between weekly bills, monthly bills, and yearly bills. So as you can see, the total changes. It also shows like what time, like for example, the total for this month, like 10,000, the total for this week, 2,200, or yearly, like 120,000. That's basically the main changes made towards the bills. Just add a bit extra information. And what I'll do now is I'll go towards incidents. So similar to bills, there's now actually a list of like different aspects. So for example, like well, different incidents. So for example, we have an incident in botany, but it's very minor, and this was back at the start of the month in November. Go on central, just day after, it's critical. And we can also toggle now, similar to the bills, we can toggle between yearly, monthly, and weekly. So like these are like the start of. Sorry, just gonna check here. Yeah, so you can see the incidents actually change weekly, monthly, and yearly. So it sort of keeps a record, like a summary. And let's say you want to resolve some of the incidents, you can actually update those by changing the status. So for example, botany is now resolved, central's now resolved, roseberry is now resolved. You can just keep going down. And similar to before, you can report incidents. However, I made a really important change, which is that you can actually now enter information into the inputs. Previously, in the initial prototype, I wasn't actually that skilled to be able to add that. But now some proper time, just proper like studying, I've now found a way to actually add that, which is great. So for example, we can just like put in information, like let's just say for example, like this isn't actually my email, but just a made up one. jc@gmail.com. Time of the incident, like the date. Let's just say it's today, or just another day, like 9th of November. Location of incident. Let's just say it's just be very broad. Let's just say Sydney. Description of the incident. Let's just say it's like a huge blackout. Threat level. It's Sydney and it's like a blackout. That's absolutely critical. And now we report the incident. It'll take a bit to actually report it. There we go, it's been reported. And that's basically the main thing with the instance page, just adding that more freedom towards the user and more interactions. Like, for example, choosing between like toggling different like yearly, monthly, and weekly, and being able to actually enter information into the instance. Anyways, let's go back to the home screen again. And I believe the next one is user management. And what I actually did for user management that I didn't actually mention previously for the home screen was actually add its own component on the home screen. This actual box right here wasn't actually here before in the initial prototype. And the main reason I actually did this change was because, looking back on the initial prototype, I talked in the presentation about like swapping over serverless computing for, I believe it was real-time tracking. And in the initial prototype, that was just barely there at all as a concept. So I actually added it so you can see like this user's online, you see how long they've been on for. That's why I sort of did that, just to add, make it more prevalent in the prototype. So anyways, we're on the user collection page, which shows all of the current users. So we are Ryan Quinn, we're an admin, but we're also an IT manager. As you can see, we haven't been online for very long, and we're on the phone. And as you can tell, we of course are on the phone. And another user is just Elvin Green. Now, what's interesting, both these users, I think I said this before in the previous recording for initial prototype, was that they were both users, well, personas from the resources. So anyways, let's add user. And similar to the incident report, I managed to add inputs for those as well. So I believe the another person from the personas was actually Toby Matthews, who is, I believe, is a service desk consultant. So let's just say tm@gmail.com. Hopefully this isn't a real email. Phone number, let's just say 4040. Date of birth, let's just type in a random one. Just play it safe. And I believe they, like I said before, I believe they were a service desk consultant. And access level, let's just put as viewer. And so now we're adding the user. User's been added. And as you can see, they've now been updated. They've been online for less than a minute. Now everyone's offline, so I've shown like it does update over time. They've been online for 2 minutes. And previously, in the initial prototype, you couldn't actually add more than one user. And that was something that I think like users actually like realized, and they pointed that out in feedback, which is really like, which I'm very grateful for. So now we can actually add an extra user. Let's just say it's Jack Chap. Let's just do a different email. Let's just change it to 041 because why not? Let's just do that birthday, and let's just say he's an IT technician, and he has the same access level, so let's just add that user. Yep, user added. And as you can see, we now have like 2 extra users we added. Evelyn's still there, we're still there, Toby's still here, and now we have Jack Chap. And what we'll do, that's basically it for the users page, but what we'll do now is we'll go to profile. Profile didn't really receive many changes, but what I did do previously, I believe here I had an extra button called customize profile from the initial prototype, but I believe users actually got confused about like both of them. They just sounded very similar. So what I did was I sort of like got rid of that and replaced it with this. This button doesn't actually work. It's just sort of there for flavor. But what we can do is we can just contact support, manage users, customize dashboard, and log out. We could log out right now, but there's still a bit more I want to do. But just going on, let's go to contact support. And this is basically just a support page. You've got like what's the problem, like requests, orders, incidents, performance, internet speed, billing, oh I'm lost, and just some more extra things there. We don't really need support, so let's go back. But what I want to do is let's customize the dashboard. As you see, a few options already filled out like before. What we can do is we can just sort of toggle them on and off. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I actually learned this from like the checkboxes. I learned this back from UX Fundamentals, which was actually a previous class. I actually managed to improve on it for this assessment because previously, like there wasn't actually a transition between these checkboxes. It was just instant. Like I believe these are actually image files, but two separate ones. One was just an empty box, and the other one was a box that had a tick in it. But it's great to actually manage to improve this for this assessment. Well, actually, sort of got to recycle it almost, which is great. But anyways, let's just accept changes. It's loading once again. It has to generate the dashboard, which will take a second. Yep, there we go. And as you can see, there's been slight changes, especially to user management. Now it's showing the two users we've added, Toby and Jack. I showed that they've been online for a bit as well. And what's great is previously the customized dashboard option wasn't actually on the home screen page. And this was through, I believe I realized this through testing myself, but it actually was a bit of a pain. If you wanted to customize a dashboard, you had to go like all the way to profile, all the way to customize dashboard. Then you're going to do the changes. Then you're going to accept them, of course. And it's just so many clicks just to get like one thing done, basically. It's actually a bit, it's almost like a pain point in the user experience. So instead of having to do like all those buttons, there's now just one button that takes you just straight to it. You can get it done once again. And that is actually like, besides like clicking the boxes, that's like 2 clicks. So anyways, that's basically it for like the demonstration. There's not really much else I think I can show. So what we'll do is we can now log out. We've basically done everything we needed to do. And yeah, so this basically concludes the demonstration. I'm really happy with the refined prototype, and I'm actually really looking forward to what we have to do in assessment 3. That'll be good. Thank you for viewing this demonstration.